Pete Fry, the goalie mindset guy here. This is our goalie mindset podcast. Just going to get it started on Instagram here. There we go. Just got to click go live. Okay, we are live on Instagram as well too. Pete Fry, the goalie mindset guy here. Great to see everyone. I'm waiting for Michael Lawrence to come on the podcast here. And just so you know, Michael Lawrence is he's a head instructor at PRO Goaltending. Michael has an extensive background in working with world-class goaltenders. I met him at the NHL draft in Chicago a few years ago. He's a top-rated coach at all levels of the game. Michael has worked with talent in the National Hockey League, the American Hockey League, the ECHL, and a lot of goalies in the CHL as well, too. I know quite a few of my clients work with Michael. And he's also been a goalie coach in Switzerland, too. And he's won the Spengler Cup with Team Canada and has previously been part of the coaching staff for Hockey Canada's World Junior Selection Camp. So I'm excited to have Michael come on board. He's just finished off a meeting, then he's going to hop on. In the meantime, while you guys are on here, if you guys have any questions, feel free to fire away. Feel free to fire away if you guys have any questions whatsoever. And yeah, let's do this. So this is a new way that we're doing the Goalie Mindset podcast, doing it live now as opposed to recording it. This way it's better. You get more live content. You sometimes don't know what's going to happen or what the guest is going to say, what I'm going to say, but we can't edit it whatsoever, which I think is great. Is we just go live and we go off the cuff. And I like to do that because as a goaltender, that's what you have to do. You got to deal with a lot of uncertainties. In fact, as a goalie, you have more uncertainties than any position on the planet. And I talk about it in my new book, Concentrate, the Ultimate Focus System for Goaltenders. And I compare it to if you're in your house and all of a sudden there's an earthquake. A lot of uncertainty. And very challenging to deal with. That can be like goaltending sometimes. And so you have to have these anchors to give you certainty when you're playing. And that's why I came up with the 3 mental zones in a way that it can give you certainty that every time the whistle goes, you're going to treat it exactly the same way. Every time the puck drops, you're going to treat it exactly the same way. That might be Michael now messaging me. I just sent him the link. We'll see if it's working for him. Let me pull this up here. Okay. Oh, looks like I'm getting some questions on Insta. Okay, so he needs 5 minutes, so that's fine. That's all good. I'm just going to type him back here, say all good. He'll be on in 5 minutes, which is great. That gives me, I said all God. Let's go all good. There we go. Okay, fantastic. Oh, I got some questions on here. I can see them now. First question is, would love to know what are some options for a very talented and hardworking goalie, but limited funding. Last year's costs went above and beyond what we can afford as a family. Any support out there? Great question. I think there's got to be some supports out there. That can help you as far as on the financial side goes. I think there's some charities out there. I know the NHL has some charities as well too that they have launched, and so there's got to be some good support out there. In the meantime, as far as getting better on your mindset, if you do have limited funding, you can follow me on. You're already following me on Instagram. And, taking what you can from the podcast. There's obviously no charge to that. Reach out, ask questions, things like that as well too. But yeah, there are some programs out there, and yeah, I know it is quite the cost sometimes to be a goaltender. When I played, just so you know, the registration my first year I played was $75, and then the association gave all my family the equipment. So there was, and I don't think there was a lot of travel back then. It was in Toronto. It's called Rexdale Ramparts back in the day. I don't know if there's still a team there because I live on the Lower Mainland now in Vancouver. Anyway, any questions you guys have? I'm waiting for Michael Lawrence to come on. Pete Fry, the goalie mindset guy. We're live on the Goalie Mindset podcast and waiting for a great goalie coach, Michael Lawrence, to come on, ask him a few questions. You guys can ask him questions as well, too. We'll take those questions live on the podcast here. And this is a regular thing. Eventually, I'm going to actually announce the times that we're going to do it. I just kind of do it now any time. But eventually we'll announce certain times so it's easier for you, so you can join live and ask questions if you have any questions there. And it's great to see everyone. I got my PF cup here with water in it. Then I got my Believe cup here from Ted Lasso. You can see my Believe cup. It's got a drink called, what's it called? Activate C. It's just like a vitamin C type drink. Tastes good. So a little combination of both. I don't drink coffee. Once in a while, I might have a decaf, but that's really about it. And yeah, any questions, fire away. You got me right here. Okay. Is it available on the podcast app or iPhone? This podcast right here will be available on the podcast app on your iPhone there. It's available on a whole bunch of different platforms, including Apple Podcast, I believe. Right now, it's available on, I think I'm live on Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn, a few other platforms. Right there. Eric, I see you joined. Eric, are you still on? What's happening, my friend? How you doing? Eric's a phenomenal goaltender. Played in the QMGHL last year. Started off the Quitlam Express, and then when they had that new rule, he moved to the QMGHL and was dominant for his team there. Very, very dominant. Here we go. Minditude Hockey. How are you guys doing? Good to see everyone. Lucy Hockey. What is that? Hockey Rebel Mom. That's funny. Any questions from the Hockey Rebel Mom? No rebellious questions. Gregory, Kellen, Tyson. Oh, Tyson. How you doing, my friend from Goal Tech Hockey? What's happening? Any questions at all? Okay, so I got organic. Here we go, doing our best to support our son and make sure his hips stay healthy and strong. Oh, yes. After those drop downs, anything you suggest for everyday workout or stretches, band work? I would probably look up Maria Mountain. She's got a lot of great stuff online for that and really, really good. In fact, I work with a personal trainer myself 5 days a week. So he's got me doing a bunch of different stretches for the hip, because I think by the time I was 19 or 20, my hips was really challenging playing there, and they didn't have the mobility exercises back then that they do now. But so I would recommend Maria Mountain. There are some other good specialists out there which can help you. Mark Dekanich as well too. Deck Show Performance. He's got some great stuff, and there's a few people out there. My trainer Kai, but I don't even think Kai has a website. I know he trains a lot of pros. He's a good one, and you can probably Google it as well too. But yeah, I would recommend that. I've seen some of my clients, they had to retire at 19 years old or 20 years old because their hips were giving them so much pain. And so it's important to be very, very proactive. Some guys will stretch an hour a day. Some guys will stretch even more with that. And so, yeah, it's important to take care of those hips. So check out Maria Mountain, check out Deck Show Performance, maybe a couple others, and they should have some good feedback for you there. Pete Fry, the goalie mindset guy here. This is a goalie mindset podcast. Oh, I got a question from Martin. Hey, Martin, how you doing, my friend? If I get more than 3 goals, I don't focus on the game. What should I do to focus on the game after 3 goals? Okay, so I'm assuming that's after 3 saves not made in a game. And what you need is, I just went through this with the National Hockey League goaltender. What you need is a powerful bounce back strategy. And here's what I recommend. Number one is, if you ever don't make a save, so to speak, and just 1 sec, I just got to check the studio, see if Michael's on yet. Nope, not on yet. If you ever don't make a save, what I want you to do is stand tall, shoulders back, chin up, chest out, looking up. So right now, I got a challenge for you, Martin. I got a challenge for you and anyone else that's on here. I got a challenge for you guys to do this. You better do this exercise because I am watching. So basically, oh, I figured out how to see the comments on StreamYard too now. Okay. So Michael, this is for you, and this is for everyone else that is on here right now. I want you to do this exercise. Okay. And do it right now, unless you're in a car and you are driving. So here's the exercise that I want you to do. I want you to stand tall right now. Go ahead, stand tall. And when you stand tall, shoulders back, chin up, chest out, look up at the ceiling. Like look up at the ceiling, put a big silly grin, put a smile on your face, raise your eyebrows, tighten your facial muscles, raise them, look up at the ceiling, shoulders back, chin up, chest out, and hold that stance there. In fact, stand like you got a cape on. Yeah, like a Superman cape or something like that. Hold that stance, looking up. And as you're looking up, try to feel depressed. Try to feel unhappy. Try to feel sad. Now, no cheating, no moving, no moving. You got to keep looking up. Shoulders back, chin up, chest out, facial muscles raised, smiling. Hold that smile. Try to feel unhappy. Try to feel unconfident. Try to feel sad. It's impossible. You have to move in order to do that. So basically, emotion, how you feel, is mainly created by motion, by how you move. And you'll notice, because you think of it, someone is not, if they're depressed or they're feeling down, where are they usually looking? Are they looking up or down? They're looking down. One of the things that I tell my clients is when you're in a game and sometimes you're getting lots of shots, so you need a little bit of a rest. And if you need that rest, I recommend, because I'll see some guys, they'll put their hands on their knees, their glove and their blocker, on their pads, and they'll look down. They'll just look down at the ground. And sometimes they're trying to concentrate that way. Yeah, I do not recommend that, because if you look down, that's how a depressed person carries their body. So you want to look up. You want to look up as much as possible. And I know when you're playing, you got to have your chin down and stuff like that. But I'm talking like in between whistles. So yeah, look up, make yourself big. That'll be a lot more powerful for you when you're out there. Just checking, seeing if Michael's on in the studio yet. No, I don't think so. He will message me. Okay, so let's go back. Any questions? Pete Fry, the goalie mindset guy here. This is the Goalie Mindset Podcast, live with Michael Lawrence when he does join. And in the meantime, though, I can take any questions from anyone. Any questions that you have, feel free to fire away. How was that exercise we just did? Okay. Got another question here from C. McClear, 33. I just got to check was that Michael there? Yep. Okay, he's jumping on now. Perfect. Okay. I'll just answer this question first. Just wondering about your experience with junior goalies and high school age goalies. Okay, I work with a lot of junior goalies, a lot of high school age goaltenders there. And with that, anything more specific as far as questions there? I think the biggest thing for high school and junior goaltenders is that there's going to be adversity. They're going to go through a lot of adversity, and they need to have a crystal clear picture on where they're going, where they want to take their goalie career. Oh, Nick's on. Nick, how you doing, buddy? I miss you. You're powerful. If you're still on, remember, you are powerful. The great Nick. Anyway, Nick was with our company for quite a while, and he left to pursue his vision in yoga. He's a yoga master. He would do yoga with our guys in our seminars there. Okay. So I would recommend have a clear picture of yourself. Because I remember when I was 18, 19, I was drafted by New Jersey Devils. And my first thought was, I don't have a chance, because I didn't have that vision for my goalie career. And you've heard the saying, without vision, the people will perish. And it's the same thing for ourselves. So you got to have that clear picture where you're taking your goalie career. Why is that important? Because your subconscious mind, it doesn't know the difference between what is real and what you imagine. So if you imagine yourself playing on the teams that you want to play on, your subconscious mind thinks it's real, and you start to act in that way. You start to look out and see things that are going to help you get there. And I got another question here on Facebook from Aaron. Aaron, great to see you, my friend. How long should a goalie take off in the offseason from being on the ice? Well, okay, let's talk about that. And let's talk about being on the ice. Let's talk about, and right after this, I'll make sure I'll continue on with Michael here. And so after the season, as far as going on the ice goes, as far as your physicality, work on your physical game and your mental game, what a lot of the pros do that I work with, like Mad Sogard, for example, he said, when his season, he was hurt almost all year. He's with the Senators and he was in Belleville and Ottawa, but he was hurt most of the year this year. And so right now he's with the Senators working with their goaltender coach and not in the lineup yet because he's just come back from injury. But so what he's going to do when the season's over, Mads is going to take 2 weeks off and just rest, relax, revitalize, do nothing, kind of like in between whistles. It's your mental zone 1. He's going to do that. And then he's going to get back into his training. And when I say back into his training, I'm talking on the ice. I'm talking his physical training, and he's back on with me for his mental training. And that's the reason why we launched our one of our new programs called the Off-Season Edge. And we launched that because a lot of goalies don't understand the importance of working on the mental game in the off season. Because if I ask you what percent of your success is mental, a lot of guys will say 90%, right? So how does it make sense to work on the physical game, to work on your skills during the off season? I think Michael's on too. Michael will be with you in 30 seconds and not work on your mental game. It just doesn't make sense. So that's why we launched the Off-Season Edge program to help you develop your mental game to get stronger for the season. And plus, by working on the mental, your sessions with your goalie skills coach, like Michael Lawrence, will be even better. Your sessions with your trainer will be even better as well too. And anyways, okay, so I'm going to go on with Mike. Michael, are you there? You're in the studio. Do I need to let you in? Oh, add to stage. Okay. First time I've done this. Look at that. There you are. You showed up. I love it. I meant like you showed up on the screen. Man. I knew you were going to show up. But yeah. Anyways, awesome. Pete Fry, the goalie mindset guy here. I love that. Yes, there we go. There we go. This is the third live stream I've done, and finally it's working out. First one I did with Ian Clark, and I don't know if we showed up on any platforms. I couldn't figure it out. Last week we did it. I did it as well too. Had Josh Ravensbergen, right? He's the number 1 goalie ranked in the NHL draft this year. He came into the studio live, and we were on everything except Instagram. And now I figured out, so we're actually live on Instagram right now too, Michael. We're live on Instagram. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook, X, and LinkedIn as well too. So that's cool. We got a live audience watching us right now.
Cool. Pretty awesome. Wired in.
Pretty awesome. So anyways, this is a Goalie Mindset podcast. Pete Fry, the goalie mindset guy. I am excited to have on here today, right now, this very moment, the great Michael Lawrence. And like I say, Michael Lawrence is a head instructor of PRO Goaltending, and he's coached goaltenders in the National Hockey League, the American Hockey League, a lot of goalies in the CHL as well too. He's a goalie coach in Switzerland. He won the Spengler Cup with Team Canada and has been part of the coaching staff for Hockey Canada's World Junior well too. And Michael, welcome aboard, my friend. Great to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Pete. Nice to see you.
Yes, great to see you. You're looking fantastic. Last time I saw you live, it must have been in the NHL draft, right?
Yeah, I can't remember which one we're at, but yeah, that sounds about right. Somewhere in the corridors there, just buzzing and talking to different people and hearing different ideas for sure. So it's nice to see you again.
Yeah, great to see you. Always great to see you. And next time in Ottawa, I'm going to look you up for sure, 100%. Right, we can go for dinner or something like that. That'd be dynamite. That would be dynamite. So awesome. Tell the audience about. Let's see some questions here. What is the biggest advice that you would give for any goalies listening right now in order to propel their goalie career to the next level? There you go. Let's start off with a bombshell of a question.
No, I think, something that just the time of the year, I think it's just a good place to start because a lot of kids are doing their exit meetings with their season. And I find that a big thing that we commonly come to, or when you're interviewing guys and you're even trying to look, to years in the future of guys that you'd want in your net and as an organization. A big thing that you're starting to identify, and I'm certainly identifying for sure, and what I'm looking for is how do you mirror yourself, and are you able to look at yourself and really have good sense of where you need to go, your personal life, what's missing inside of that, what can get better in that. So as far as a person, as a goalie, as an athlete, the things that you're able to mirror, and be really objectful with yourself. I think that's the best advice right off the hop. If you can understand that and you can be critical in those areas, I think you separate yourself at a young age from everyone else very, very early. And you're going to be ahead in the race. That's for sure. That's my feeling.
I like it. I really like it. So when you say mirror, can you elaborate on mirror? Because some people may not understand exactly what that means.
Yeah, and mentally, don't get me wrong. I've never really met an NHL goalie or worked with a guy who's at that level, or even in the Swiss league, that doesn't have this crazy air to themselves and ego. And you need that, mentally, I think, because if you feel every bump in the road, do you know what I mean? This just isn't the business for you. That's my opinion.
I like it.
But I think with mirroring is to be a different level of athlete. I think if you have that ability and that a little bit of arrogance to you and that confidence, but built properly, and not fake, because that doesn't last either. I think if you're able to really mirror yourself and see the inefficiencies in yourself, in yourself as an athlete and in your game, you just give yourself so much more opportunity, and you'll put yourself on a totally different platform, in my opinion. And, if I'm trying to push our guys, to be able to do that earlier and sooner, know that they're in a safe place so that they can get the right feedback, and, and just be objectful with it and not take it the wrong way.
Got it. Okay. So basically to have enough trust in themselves or confidence about themselves, so that if you're critical with them about something, and let's say critically helping them change something or get better at positioning or something like that they don't take it personally. They just look at it like, okay, yeah, water off a duck's back. How do I get better? Right? How do I take what Michael told me and just continue to, everything flows to where they're going. Whereas some people, maybe if they don't have that, they may question themselves as, wow, am I really good enough? Like, why is he like, and then so they could go the opposite way. So they have to have that little bit of what you call ego, arrogance, and not arrogance with other people, just with themselves, right? Just that confidence in themselves.
Oh, and the other thing too is, like, for coaches out there too, like when you're doing this stuff, like it's, I think you also have to look at it like, the individual that you're working with. Like, let's say you are working with someone who's a little high profile and they do have all the right pieces as far as, like, their mental stability and the way they see themselves and they view themselves and how they carry themselves. Well, how do you present that to them? Right? You have to be careful how you do that. And in my experience, I focus a little bit more on it, whether, it's a high profile guy, if it's a major junior goalie, or if it's somebody underneath it. I like looking at it like a car, like a race car. Like, the car's a little too heavy right now. How do we shave this thing down? I look at that from a coaching standpoint, and I look at that, objectively to you and how I make you better. But you need to be able to have that same ability with yourself too. It's like, this is the right thing for the car. How do we make this thing lighter so it travels more laps with less fuel, less tires, and it gets those 500 laps faster than everybody else, right? Then you're not really pushing the ego, and you're not hurting it. You're building to it. And you're also allowing them and yourself empowering them to also be like in a way that they become the solution. They're finding the solution for themselves, and it empowers them.
I love it. Yeah. That's a great. I like the car analogy. Very good. Very good. Who's a goaltender that you work with that you felt had that extra confidence, ego, belief in themselves, so to speak?
I think I could go to like, guys like Elvis or something like that. But I think the one that, this goes way back. I'm going to the archives here, and he's not.
Yeah. Who's the guy that stands out? The guy
he's
that really
not a household name, but
it doesn't have
man,
to be.
did he make a career? Is Sebastian Dom. Sebastian Dom was a kid who played from Denmark. He was a regular behind Freddie Anderson as the national goalie in that program. And he did that I remember Seb played, so he played his junior year in the CHL, played with the Wolves, and then he went to the Niagara Ice Dogs, played 1 or 2 years in the AHL, ECHL, and then he hit a wall. This guy hit a wall. And his only option was really to go back to Denmark. And play at that level. That level wasn't very high. There wasn't, and because it wasn't like he's a European, you can just go to Switzerland. That's not how it works. You're still an import. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So like the options for him were very, very limited. And I remember sitting with him in one of those years, his second year back in Denmark, and we were at a bar. And he just had enough with it. He had enough with himself. He knew he was capable of so much more. And on a napkin, I swear to God, bar table napkin, we mapped out, here's what's missing. And he was just as brutal as I was. This is how we're going to do it. You know what I mean? And he did everything, man. He played a long time in the DEL. He won championships. I think it was in the ECHL. And he was Freddie Anderson's backup. He had national success, especially the years where Freddie wasn't at the World Championships. Played big minutes, this guy. I think he's one of my favorites, and such a great story of just how you look at yourself and how you're accountable to yourself. Like he had a great career. Not a big dude, 5'8", 5'9". And he's still playing.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So guys who don't know Sebastian Dom, look at his elite prospect. You'll see his profile, and that's a guy who, man, did he have just a great career. You know what I mean? And he hit a wall. He made something out of nothing, and he found a way. And in those 2 years, and I should say for sure on this podcast, with the mental spot, that's a hard 2 years. You're in a not a dark place. That's not who Sebastian is, but for sure knew you were capable of something greater. How does this happen? And when when you're a person like that, you have such drive, that doesn't sit well, being stuck. You know what I mean? And you can't get on stage. Do you know what I mean? Like this business is all about, I don't believe like this guy's a better goalie, this guy's a better goalie coach, no, it's literally about, a lot of it has to do about opportunity and what the stage that you get to play on. You know, you're only going to know how good you are at the next level if you get to go on the stage. If you go on the stage and you bomb, okay, that's one thing, right? But if you don't get the opportunity to get on the stage, and how are you going to know? And I think in Sebastian's case, I think that was with him for those years, and he used his energy in the right form, the right way, to propel him to where he was supposed to go. And that took incredible, mental fortitude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a great story. And that's an inspiration for a lot of the goaltenders that are not 6 foot tall or more. or 6'2"
Right.
or more, whatever it is, right? That's great.
Yeah, and we're seeing those guys in the NHL like Dustin, and the kid in New York, and I mean, there's like, do you stop the puck? People who are, they're management and coaches, their families eat because of performance, right? So if you're going to stop more pucks, right, and my family's going to keep living the way they are, or even better, but you're going to play, And so I think it's just, I think there's just those opportunities now for, I don't think there's a set thing of like, you got to be this height, you got to be, no, like, can you play the game? Can you think?
Yeah. Got it. Got a couple of questions here, and we'll actually work this right in the podcast. The first one is, sorry for disturbing you, but how do I get on your summer camps? So not sure if that's for you or me, but how do they find you? How do they find you, Michael, if they want to come to one of your summer camps?
Yeah, so we kind of like, we're a smaller scale. Like, we focus a little more on like the major junior age, the pro guys, and kind of like a younger wave underneath that. So, that bantam, midget AAA. The easiest way is just to go on to PROGoaltending.com. There's a contact us. You'll be able to see a list of our programs all at Ottawa U. And, you can get in touch with us that way. And I reach out to everybody that, that sends us, their story and what they want to do. And we work with the individuals from there.
Yeah, you do a great job. I know some of my clients train with you, right? They just love it. They love you. So yeah.
Thanks, man.
That's awesome. And then if you guys were inquiring about me, just go to petefry.net, just all one word, petefry.net. And we got our summer program there right now that's launching, and the off-season edge. So there you go. Okay, and then another question I got was, hey, I'm a huge fan of you, and you really helped me. I'm on my way to tryouts right now. Any advice? So let's give them advice from both you and me. What I would say to them, firstly, I would say, okay, so if you're going to tryouts, grab a piece of paper. I do this with my clients all the time. Do a mind map. A mind map is where you put a circle in the middle. Right in the middle of it, my powerful tryout, and then mind map off exactly how you want that tryout to end up. Right, just clear. The coach is saying, I made the team. This. And the reason that's important, because now your mind is on making the team as opposed to not being cut, right? Because it's on what you really, really want. We walk into the picture we hold of ourselves. So do that. And then, of course, do a visualization on it. That will make a difference. Michael, what advice do you have them going to tryouts?
Ooh, well, you'll have to keep me on page here with that question, because I just have a thought, and I just wanted to buzz you with one of your mind maps for your, for the people listening who are obviously they're either clients of yours or they're curious about your work and how it goes. We've had mutual clients, obviously, Pete. And then another one of my faves is just a person who, kind of like Sebastian, just mirrored Doug, and he could have easily not have, because he was very successful financially, I'm sure, at that point, put in a lot of time in the KHL and the NHL and had money, I'm sure. And, Jeff Glass.
Oh, yeah.
Who was with us the first year we won the Spengler. He was on that first team that I was there.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I remember being on a balcony with Jeff after we won. And I'll tell you the backstory on this, but 2 nights before in the semifinals, Jeff's in. Wasn't his night. Bing, bang, tack. We're down like 3 cup. And he's, he doesn't know what's going on. We switch, and Guy Boucher was the coach in that time. And this is where my story goes bad, but I can't remember the kid's name. He was a late call up, and we throw him in. We came back and we won, and we get to the finals. That night, Rob Cookson and Guy Boucher we're all in the coach's room, the three of us. And I'm like, well, you know, like, what do you guys think? And they're asking me, and, you know, we're talking to Cookie, I'm talking to Guy. And the reality is like, he had this demeanor of him, Jeff, like just like a surfer dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Guy kept saying that, well, you know, he's like a surfer dude. And like, you know, like this probably won't affect him. And you know what I mean? And then he had me looking at tape of like Lugano, who were playing the next day, who ironically, that was where I was going the next season or 2 seasons. And I didn't know at that time. And because we're going to play them in the finals. And they're a very perimeter team. And Jeff was all just like spots. You know what I mean? First save, boom, he was going to get there. Right. But if at the time, if it was rebounds and in tight, you know, like that was the night before he struggled with that, with the team that we played. But man, so anyways, he goes in, we win. Great story. We're on a rooftop in Switzerland, Davos, Switzerland. And, you know, he's having success in the KHL and he's making, I'm sure, great money.
Yep.
And he's asking me, what do you see, man? Like, what would you change? That's the easiest moment to just like have the Prosecco in our hands and just like enjoy the moment. You know what I mean? Bring out the stogies, right? Have a night. No. I noticed this thing about like the way he stand and I thought I could help him learn that a little bit and make him faster. You know what I mean? And just like more direct when he would go down, because he would kind of go down forward and then down. You know what I mean? And so he flies himself to Toronto to work with me that summer. He stayed a week in my dad's basement, my parents' basement. True story. And
that's
great. We didn't see a puck. The man didn't call him. Didn't see a puck. We just worked on his stance, movement, hips. I'm sure that wasn't the only thing that he was focusing on. Do you know what I mean? That year, right? Like I'm sure he was trying to find different pieces, right?
Mm-hmm.
A year later, where did he play? Play in the NHL.
Yeah. Chicago. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, anyway, sorry. I just had to go there with your page thing. But Jeff talked about your page stuff and he told me all about that. And it was,
Did he tell you he thought I was crazy?
No, it was, he did all that page stuff that summer, right? Yeah. Like this is a man looking for the answers to the riddle, right? He's looking at his stance. He's looking at how he goes down. He's looking at his skating. He's looking at his mindset. He was doing all that stuff, man. Right? Like you either have that drive or you don't. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I really believe in that web, that mindset that you do. You got to get it down on paper, and especially going into tryouts, and you've got to speak to the universe of like, hey, this is what I want, man.
Yeah. Right? Yes. Your subconscious mind believes it's real.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, no, I think that stuff's great. Sorry to cut you there, but like,
no, that's perfect. I love it.
You said the magic words there about the imaging, and I just such a big believer in that stuff now. It's crazy.
Yeah. Because we did one right away. I remember saying to him, I go, Jeff, what team do you want to play for in the NHL? And he's like, I can't pick my team. And I'm like, doesn't matter. That's how your brain works, right? So boom. Yeah.
Love that, anyways, man.
Yeah. So when we initially did it, where he wrote his paragraph, he wrote that he picked Calgary Flames. He's from Calgary, right?
I can see
he wrote in his he wrote his paragraph. He's playing against the Oilers. They pull their goalie. They win the game. He gets first star. So he ended up playing for Chicago, not Calgary, but he played against the Oilers. I was there at the game in Edmonton, and he did get first star, and they pulled their goalie, and he said in his paragraph he was shutting down Connor McDavid and guys like that, right? So very powerful stuff. Got another question here. Might as well go to these questions. Hey, they're great for us. They're great conversation starters. Okay, this is from Storty Martin. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Is 14 years old, first goalie. But if in an important game the other goalie starts, I'm not concentrated in the game on the bench. And if he does a good game, I don't even go to the after the game. How should I? I think he had a hard time. Oh, here we go. Okay, go to the bench. Okay, I'm trying to make this question. I'm not concentrating in the game, in the bench, and if he does a good game, I don't even go to the ice. Oh, so he gets mad, I think. I think he gets mad after that. Okay, so I'll let you answer that question. I'll let you answer that question.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that, Michael?
So their teammates, is that the...
Yeah. So when the other goalie plays, he says he's the number one goalie, but when the other goalie plays, he's not concentrated, kind of doesn't care, doesn't even go on the ice after the game.
Okay, so for me, you know, and your reputation is it takes years to build, it takes seconds to lose. And I think for me, just the two names that we mentioned, they're both pros by the definition of it. Okay. Those guys are amazing teammates. And if they don't have it one year, if you were to go through probably their resume, you would be amazed of how many times probably they would just be on a team. You know what I mean? Because the coaching staff and management know that Jeff is going to add to this group, right? Look at Jeff. Like, they brought him to San Diego. He played his last few years, didn't he? And then he became the goalie coach.
Yeah,
like,
they offered him to take a transition.
People, right? He's a tremendous human being, right? Same with Sebastian. You know, I can go down a list of people, but the pro guys, most of them, they all have they all have that about them. So I think in your case, like, how are you, helping your teammates? How are you helping them prepare? How are you making the group around you better? Like, get over yourself. You know what I mean? Like, as an individual, as an athlete, like, it's teams first, and I think people recognize that, and more importantly, people are just going to associate that with you as a person for the rest of your life. And I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, that's great feedback. Here's what I would say too. I'd say, okay, if the other goalie's playing and you're on the bench, number one is practice the three mental zones, right? Every whistle, you treat it exactly the same. Then you're dialed in when the play is on. Like, just imagine that you're out there playing, still, be a good teammate with your teammates. But that way, if you do go in, you're ready to roll, right? And it's actually harder to do the three mental zones on the bench than it is when you're playing in a game. So it's really good practice for you. And then you got to, this is important. I'll ask goalies this, and Michael, you'll love this. It's really funny. So I was speaking to a group of goalies in Vancouver, and Billy Ranford was there. Right? Bill's an awesome guy, right? He's a director of goaltending for LA Kings, phenomenal, won the Conn Smythe Stanley Cup. And I said to the guys, I go, who in here, when the other goalie plays, sometimes kinda, just a little bit, hopes the other goalie screws up, right? And Bill puts up his hand right away. Me, right? Puts his hand, me. And anyways, he was joking around, but he was serious, right? He goes, yeah, I want to go in there and stuff. But here's the challenge with that is our conscious mind knows that we want the other goalie to screw up. But you know what doesn't know? Our subconscious mind. And that's where all the power is. So if we want another goalie to do bad, whether it's the goalie that's on the ice on our team, whether it's the goalie down the far end, our subconscious mind thinks it's us. And we're actually self-sabotaging ourselves. So what I tell goalies, you want your head filled with saves. You want the goalies down the far end. You want your other goalie to be super successful. And you want to imagine that. You want to see that, right? Of course, you're going to see yourself being successful too. By doing that, your head is filled with saves. You want to just think that every goalie in the world is going to stop every puck all the time. That's just how it is, right? And just put those images in the head. So.
Yeah. And just to add to that, Pete, I think, so I worked with Elvis Merzlikins in Lugano.
Yeah,
for 3 years.
Tell us about that. That's got to be interesting.
Well, I just want to throw a kudos to Daniel Manzato was his longtime backup. I didn't see too many games when Elvis didn't have it one night, and when Daniel went in, where Daniel just wasn't great. He was dialed in because he had a very big brother role with Elvis.
Yeah.
That was his role. He was an amazing goalie. He had a great career in Switzerland. But just to kind of talk about where you were going there, just from a coaching and also from a player perspective, is he would talk to the players a lot. He would be talking about the other goalie, where to shoot. He was dialed in those areas, and he was very connected to the game and what was happening in the game. So that if Elvis didn't have it and he was going in, it's not because he was just hoping Elvis wouldn't have it and I'm just going to get minutes. It was because he was prepared, because he was still in it mentally. He was dialed in. He was talking with it. He was emotionally connected to what was happening inside of the game. And I think that's really, really important. You're a great teammate. Teammates are going to love you. Your coaches are going to love you because you're dialed in, even when you're not playing. You're responsible that way, and your prep is just bang on. And I think that's, if young guys can grab that, you're going to do really, really well, especially if there's not much gap between you and the starter. When your opportunity does come, you know what I mean? Guys are going to play for you guys. They're going to play for you. Yeah.
And plus it's about more than just hockey. It's about relationships throughout life, right? Like when you're looking back on your goalie career 10 years from now, 20 years from now, or 30 or whatever, whenever you're say done playing, you want to still have those relationships with a lot of the guys on the team.
For sure. Look around the NHL and look around different leagues of jobs and, goalie coaches, management. It's all personal relationships. It's how people remember you. That's how you'll get your opportunity. And, so always represent yourself the best to your ability, and how do you want to be remembered for sure with your peers. Yeah.
That's all. And I think it's important too, for like scouts will call a general manager or a coach, or they'll call you or they'll call me, and they'll ask. They're not going to ask you well, they might ask you about their technical skills, but a lot of times they have their kind of own scouts for that. But they'll ask you, what kind of person is he?
Yes. And so can I go a little on that too? When we're inquiring about players, I always go to trainers. I go to the people who sharpen your skates. I go to the people that you might not see on a certain level. I want to know how you treat them. And I think that's everyone that you deal with, be the same. Do you know what I mean? There's a respect, there's an integrity to this game, and to everyone that's involved to make the wheels go up, kind of thing. You know what I mean? And have that respect. I think that's really important, and coaches and GMs, and they do that stuff for sure. They do that background. You better believe it.
Yeah. Dynamite. Okay. One final question, because I got to wrap her up in like a couple minutes here. I got a 1 o'clock Pacific time. I got to be on. But first, before I wrap it up, Michael, it's been awesome to have you on. Like, we got to have you on again. This was great. It went by way too fast.
Thanks, man. That was good chatting. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Okay, I know I already asked you for the biggest advice for goaltenders. Maybe just maybe finish it off with a little piece, another piece of advice for the goaltenders that are watching that. Let's say they are going into playoffs either, or they're in the midst of playoffs, or they're getting ready for camp for next year. I'll let you answer that. Kind of a confusing question, but anyway.
No, it's not, because I'm seeing it a lot right now with young kids right now in the Ottawa area. You go through playoffs, you go through these ups. You have a great successful story, and then you have to try out, like, right away. You know what I mean? So you have to go from one high to this, uncertainty, and I think just on that, we'll start there. We'll go back and remind me to go back into playoffs. But I think for that, it's working on a mental level and this inner focus and having it consistent. Do you know what I mean? Your demeanor should be the same. Your approaches should be the same. I think once you grab that stuff earlier than the next guy, I think that's gonna, again, bring you to a plane that's completely different from everyone else around you, and it just turns you into steady Eddie, and it's really, really hard not to witness that. Two is, if you're a returning player and you have that same commitment, separate yourself from everybody else. Have that same commitment that you had in game 7, where you're doing your prep, you're showing up earlier, you're the first guy at the rink, you've done your prep. Those little things, they do not go unnoticed, and it just shows, hey, this was a kid, game 7, championship game, won the game, and here he is in the second tryout 3 weeks later, and he's doing the exact same key things that he was. He's not taking things for granted. I think, again, that's representation of who you are and your beliefs. And it's for the guy that's competing against you. It's tough, right? That's you're going to wear them out. And then I think just with playoffs, obviously we're out of that area now, so that's why my brain's in these pre-trial or trial area. But I think just with playoffs, it's people try and do something that's so different. The game is very similar. It's faster, right? But is it just faster in your mind? Is it the energy of the crowd? Is it the surroundings?
I think you said it there. It's faster in their mind. It doesn't have to be faster. Yes, I love that. That's huge.
Yeah, and how you control that, I think is really important. And again, mirror yourself. Am I making this something it's not? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to sound old again, but.
No, that's perfect.
The thing that I really loved about watching Carey Price, and a lot of goalies today have mimicked it, is, I grew up as, the biggest, Patrick Roy fan on the planet. Couldn't help myself growing up in Montreal. Yeah. But Patrick would come onto the ice, which I'm just talking, leaving the dressing room, going onto the ice, and he hit the ice hard, and he had presence, and he had this, aura to him, and everything was done hard and fast. And then, we go backwards or forwards, and you see Carey Price, where he's just like, it just looks like he's just, hopping on the ice, and he's slowly going to his net. It's very calm. It's very, right. I didn't understand that when I first saw it. I do now, and I think I got it, obviously. Yes, I did get it a lot sooner, but I think that is exactly the demeanor that he needed to be in, to realize in those situations, whether it's game 1 of the season or it's game 7 of Stanley Cup Finals, he was going to be the same with his emotions. Do you know what I mean? And his energy, and the surrounding pieces of the crowd and the media and all these other things that are involved in this game. They were outside sources, they weren't the outside factors, and I think, luckily kids in AAA, they don't have to deal with all of that. But there's the hype from your parents. There's the hype from kids on the playground who are talking about it, and you just can't get away from it, because, kids receive emails now if the night before, if they're cut and this and that, going in, you got to go to school the next day. Like, so those things you've got to really manage in your head, and being able to keep that even keel.
I call it the athlete mindset. Like, act the opposite of what a fan acts, right? That's whatever a fan's going to do, you're the opposite. You don't care.
Right. So I think that if you can use those little pieces, I think that'll help you in those situations for sure.
That's huge, Michael. I got to wrap her up. I'm a little bit late for my 1 o'clock here. But
All right,
Pete
man.
Fry, the Goalie Mindset Guy, this has been the Goalie Mindset podcast for today. Having the great Michael Lawrence on. It was an honor. And Michael, I'll have you on again soon. Thanks a lot for coming on.
Thanks, bud. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, you got it. You got it.